Mr. Ashraf. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Omar Alsaied, GM, KSA Egypt and Levant at Calix, and he will present the young generation's user experience expectations for smart cities networks.
Salam everybody. My presentation actually changed in the past 2 weeks based on a conversation with my son. I was connecting with him using the IoT, and he gave me a couple of interesting ideas about what to present here. Next generation expectation is totally different than us. They are the generation which, let's agree on one thing first of all. We are serving this generation, a generation which is connected at birth, a generation which is used, Pokemon Go, naturally. And one of the interesting experiences I had there, my son was at the back seat of the car, and I was trying, to have some conversation with him. All of a sudden he said, "Dad, which road are you taking, left or right?" I said, "No, son, I'm in control here. I'm going forward." He said, "Never mind." A few minutes later, "Dad, can you go left?" Because apparently he's chasing a Pokemon, he's connected all the time. Who made money out of this game? I don't think it's the operators, it's nobody here. It's nobody here made the money. Someone else providing applications and generating business out of it. So this is what I mean, that they are different, and they will force us to do something different in the network. And that it's not going to take more than 5 years before they will bring this network down to its knees. We have to do something different for them. The presenters who will present after me will talk about the Internet of Things or Internet of Everything. Basically, changes are happening faster than what we expect. But inside smart cities and smart communities, we need to do differently in terms of implementing GPON or FTTx. GPON is not a new technology, it's almost 10 years old, but there are generations of this technology coming down to serve Generation Y and Generation Z. So the GPON we know, and we probably accepted it as it was, which is 2.5 gig, and you split all this traffic among users. NGPON 2 is going to bring much bigger bandwidth to the end user because they want it. And one of the interesting discussions I have with my son is exactly, I told him, son, what do you want the internet to be? The first thing he said, unlimited. So if you are in marketing and you are building packages, for 2 meg, 4 meg, 10 meg, forget it. 5 years down the road, this is not a discussion. You need to go to what they really want, which is unlimited, fast, and always on. And it's not what we know in some areas and some implementations. These are real pictures of fiber connectivity to home, some of the data center implementations. There's a lot of progress that happened in this region to build tier 5 data centers, to bring advanced technologies, but sometimes we do the last mile different. We need to improve on that overall. So the next generation will not accept what we accepted. They will demand more, and we need to adapt very fast to what they are looking for. Do I agree with that, by the way? Here you go. Let's go deeper inside the home. Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi connectivity is basic for them. There's public Wi-Fi, and then there's the Wi-Fi inside home. It has to be robust, it has to be fast. They don't think about access. They don't think about the limitations that we accepted already. So everything has to open up for them. A little bit, some statistics. Public statistic about why I say like this region is different We consume, we are like second to the US in terms of YouTube consumption. This is pretty high, and I think it will continue to go up. We have 90 million connected people, mostly in Egypt. This country adopted, the highest smartphone adoption. You're now going into 3G and 4G. All of these things is going to stress the network and is going to force the operators actually to upgrade faster than what they did before. And it was really refreshing to hear what TB spoke about just before this discussion. So basically, we are a connected community, and when we build a network, we need to build it, the reality is for our kids, because that's how we will make money ahead of everyone else. And I mentioned the experience. It's all about the experience now, waiting for traffic, waiting for the internet, the interruptions. Calling the data center will be something of the past because they will manage their own network. The changes that happen is across marketing, the revenue, the business model will be totally different, and the interaction with the providers, the content providers, the service providers will be totally different. So the network will have to change. Egypt is a role model of a country which can adopt this technology faster than anyone else. Side discussion which will lead actually to what we really mean by experience. One phone call, maybe two, there are service providers here in this audience, can eliminate your margins. So when a vendor, will supply you with boxes, we'll supply you with the technology, but if we don't give you the tools to manage this technology, even virtually, without having heavy data centers and NOC centers, then we will fail you. Money, who's benefiting when there is bad quality in terms of management or bad end user experience? Vendors will win because we will sell our product, but everyone else loses. The customer is not happy, the operator is losing money for support, so our systems have to be much more advanced. This is just an example of reality, but that when we connect homes and when we connect smart communities, it has to come up with very advanced tools to manage that. I'm going to show you some snapshots of these tools. So at Calix, and a little bit, I try to avoid actually talk about our company, but I'll mention it here. Calix is new in the Middle East. We came here just 3 or 4 years ago. We have the #1 position in the US in terms of GPON technology. We have more than 50% of the market share there. And then we decided to come to the Middle East. Who's really leading in the Middle East in terms of technology adoption and challenging vendors to do something different? It's Egypt, and where I live in Saudi Arabia, both big in terms of population and in terms of advanced society, which will literally take the technology when it's first deployed. So we came up with something called AXOS, which is Access Operating System. This will help the operators, whether it's private build, such as a compound community, or a service provider, or a utility, to build a network and offer services very fast. Because the system, like this is based on SDN, or software-defined access, SDA, will make it much easier to create services and ship it. Historically, our generation accepted that a new service will take a year, 6 months. It won't take that much time. There's nothing to hide here. We develop it, the operator tests it, then we roll it out. The future is all about who will release application first. And who owns these applications? Anybody can hold this application. If you are in a compound, or if you are a real estate developer, our responsibility as a vendor is to give you the technology to say, you know what, I'm going to be the first in the market to offer this application and to make money out of it because it addresses what the consumer wanted. So this is what the AXOS is all about. The type of deployments that we see in this region, if you go from left to right or right to left, in Egypt, what's interesting when I go through the city is how many new buildings there are. The multi-dwelling units, the compounds, the new touristic areas, all of these, it's great to see this community building it, but the responsibility for us is to provide you with systems that matches all this investment. And the systems don't have to be expensive. We don't have to overbuild. And I'll show you pictures of overbuilding the system, which is, again, this is what our generation accepted. The future generation will ask something different. Talking about the experience inside home. So we spoke about the public Wi-Fi, but then there is in-home Wi-Fi, like we have the Wi-Fi that you use at home, these small routers. There are technologies that came specifically to give you much better capacity and bandwidth and to penetrate the thick walls, which is traditionally done in this country or in this region in general. So 3 things that will change the experience. It's forget all of the vendors now. We're talking about providing some product that will give you all those tools, whether it's Wi-Fi at home, whether it's the management tools for operators to manage, and we'll have some screenshots for this. And then see this device, the smartphone with application. Now, today, we have this application that allows the user to control their network before calling the NOC center and consuming a lot of your revenue, where everybody loses. So this is all happening today. Let me talk to you a little bit about a snapshot of what happens. This is one of the tools we have. You know, Wi-Fi at home is a problem. You know, your kids, they say, okay, can you please everybody switch their devices because I'm downloading Netflix, I'm watching the movie, I'm sending large files, and I'm texting. What you want to see is something like this. It's almost a side scan of who's connected, which technology they are using, what are the problems, which channels, so that the NOC center, instead of them telling you, okay, I'm going to send somebody to your home to fix it, they have enough information to fix it during the conversation. There are some analytics tools that I think is displayed here. This is one example, for example, site scan. We scan what's at your home, the microwave is interfering, the phones, the old phones, your neighbors. All this will impact your experience or the second generation experience. And the operators in general, they need to acquire such tools to stop the revenue bleeding and fix problems during the phone call. And not only that, maybe they can upsell other services. So all these tools come hand by hand with the hardware that vendors should be providing you. Briefly, how the network looks like, and this is probably the only slide that talks about our company. So we are FTTx, so we are building networks for compounds, for smart buildings, for large communities, and then we will be able to connect using fiber to the end user, whether it's business, whether it's just basic homes or government entities. The technology is already proven. What's interesting is NG.2. NG.2, you can think about it from high level. It will allow you actually to have a lambda to the user. This is for next generation, which is happening today. And we can have a side discussion on this if you want. The trend is already adopted in the US, so Verizon selected us to trial this technology because the challenge will be, okay, we want to open up the bandwidth. We have more than 140 cities in the US which announced a gigabit community. So the service is already there. This is where I said, next generation will challenge us in what we do. I call this is where us vendors win. This is a building where we use traditional connectivity, which is everywhere in the world. It's not a fault of anybody. This works actually. But it's basically you have a big router at the basement of the building and you connect Cat5 everywhere. And you put switches everywhere, every floor, almost at every wing of the building. You consume space for these switches. You need to cool it. So a lot of people will be celebrating, except the person who's buying this expensive equipment, and some of the tenants who will see a lot of excessive equipment around them. This is the old model. With the technology we bring, and I'm very open to have an open discussion with all builders and consultants here, switch it to GPON. That's what happens with GPON. Is you are going to save, the picture left. You're going to save, first of all, on cabling. It's fiber, it's passive, you don't need cooling, you don't need to reserve place for it, you can put it anywhere you want. It's passive from the basement to the room itself where you need to deliver the service. Who is here? This is much less CapEx. I worked at with different companies. I tell you, some of the same guys don't like this because the material is going to shrink. We will provide, this is new technology or new application for new buildings. So all of a sudden you have passive equipment all around and it's fiber, it's highest bandwidth, it's proven technology, less space, and you focus. If you are in a hotel, all the space that you needed for telecom equipment is going to shrink compared to revenue generating rooms. So this one, by the way, we can make easy business cases for it. If you are building a building today and you want to connect it, an advice, take two different business cases, one traditional and one with fiber to the room, with GPON, and see the difference. And not only that, if it's an advanced building or an advanced compound, in a few more months, NG-PON 2 will be almost deployed massively. So you will be providing much bigger bandwidth that nobody else offers actually in the region. This is real stuff. And this is what the next generation wanted. Forget all the capped bandwidth that we lived with for long. Few applications that will be done. Number one, road surveillance. How does this apply? So I've seen in certain areas in the larger region where, traffic surveillance, what do you need? You need a fridge beside every traffic light, literally fridge, it's air-conditioned unit. You put a switch for FTTx, a switch for everything else. You connect to the camera, you rent the land from the government. It's a big project. With FTTx, you simply need to do something like this. You put these passive devices everywhere, one OLT. You use the technologies where SFPs can go certain kilometers, 20, 30 kilometers. We are not, when you build road surveillance, it's not about building a telecom actual infrastructure. You just throw this infrastructure, simple GPON infrastructure, and just get to your business, which is video surveillance. This exists and this is proven in many areas. And again, I will come a discussion with the consultants and with the vendors about this. And by the way, with vendors, I have discussions with vendors to say, guys, we have responsibility as we are selling technology into this region, which is not to oversell. The days of where we push a lot of hardware is done. Now it's all about efficiencies. Another application which I will put you through is what utilities do in the US. For example, the utility company is connecting the power lines. At the same time, they will put the fiber, and at home or at the business, they will use a splitter to connect the smart meter and to do their own business, like prepare for offering services. This model works in the US. It can work everywhere else where it's allowed by the regulations. What's the key here is that this revolution about smart metering, how it's done, you dig only once, and you serve both the utilities need and the telecom needs. Hospitality is the same thing. When I spoke about the experience, you provide the product that will connect all different applications and provide the operator with this nice tools which allow them to resolve issues without sending anybody to the room. So this is also happening in many international hotel chains. And finally, wireless backhauling. So Egypt there was a license which is awarded, or it was acquired by Telecom Egypt. There's a lot of movement in telecommunications in Egypt. We think wireless backhauling will be something massive. It's a massive requirement as you move into 4G and into LTE. Simple infrastructure for this. You don't need to build overlays. The same network can serve the business, which is within the same building, can do the wireless backhauling, and can serve also the residential application. Simple network, unified, because again, we don't need to build lots of overlays to do this. In summary, a couple of messages. Number one, developers and real estate managers, let's do it right in the first, with the first attempt. We're willing to discuss. There are lots of system integrators outside. I came today with engineer Nagy from Nile ICT. There's lots of innovation that they do to make things happen for developers, for vendors. We have a big responsibility of offering the proper services. And finally, service providers, they are actually at the heart of all these requirements. offering, opening up the bandwidth or acquiring these new technologies, which was what always happened in Egypt, which we always adopt the new technologies fast. For fiber to home, for fiber to business, GPON, there are new innovations which happened already. Hopefully we'll have a big discussion with you on this. If there are no questions, this concludes my presentation. Thank you.